signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning to them.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Beyond the Bat Signal. I am your host, Dominic Unica. Join me as we dive into the depths of Batman's lore, dissecting the rogues gallery, and uncovering the stories of our iconic vigilante known as the Dark Knight. Thank you very much for tuning in to today's episode, and welcome to newcomers and new listeners. Can I just say, beyond grateful that you're taking the time tuning into the show. Now, before we begin, I just want to thank each of our current listeners and new listeners for tuning in. And with that being said, feel free to catch new episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's Apple, Spotify, iHeart Music, YouTube. Basically, anywhere you can listen to a podcast, this is where you'll find the podcast, Beyond the Bat Signal. And feel free, if you can, anywhere you listen to podcasts, to drop a review, as it goes a long way to dropping 5 stars and leaving a comment. It takes 30 seconds to a minute of your time, and that's all I'm asking. It'd be greatly appreciated, to be honest. Like, it really does go a long way. And that's about it. Like, listen, we're going to get going with this show. This is Batman, The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween. And we're going to be doing a little recap / review. And I'm so curious where the listeners are and your opinion as to how you feel the series has gone. I'm trying to formulate an opinion, and I feel like I can't truly do that until we get that final issue. And we close the book on this. And then immediately, I think the first thing I've been doing is like, well, is it going to be better than The Long Halloween? Is it going to be better than Dark Victory? That's the comparison. Is it fair? I guess so. Like, I mean, we all are entitled to our opinions. I will say, to start things off, let's talk about the art before we get into the story. And, well, actually, let me just talk about who's part of it. So this is written by, obviously, the legendary Jeph Loeb, who has 2 blockbusters that come out per month. And I'm talking about Hatoosh and Last Halloween. And this issue, I guess that we have like a rotating list of people who are artists. And this one is none other than Dave Johnson. And from the previous issue, I would say that it's, it's been 2 consistent issues where I thought that it kind of felt like The Last Halloween felt like that noir vibe. So it's staying consistent, and that's exactly what I wanted, was consistency. I never wanted to feel like the art kind of threw me off or kind of drew me away from the actual story, because then it's not actually achieving its job, really. But it totally belongs into that, like, Long Halloween vibe that it's supposed to achieve. And man, I'd say out of the 7 issues, I'd say 6 of them have been able to achieve that look and have not taken me away from the story. So bravo to you, Dave Johnson. I'm not too familiar with your work. That's not any slight. I'm just being very honest. I'm a student that is a lifelong learner. And heck, if this is the work that I'm being exposed to, Dave Johnson, then I'll be it, man. It's a great first impression, and I am digging it. The cover I got was cover A. I am sticking to the Tim Sale covers, and I am not being disappointed whatsoever. I am really digging it. Love it. So, sure enough, as we recall, at the end of the story where Robin gets shot at the end of issue 6, And this issue, it's Robin training with Batman, and Batman, it's on April Fool's Day, and it starts off with Robin saying, like, I don't remember. And Batman or Bruce is saying, think. Like, it had to be something, someone you don't recall. Like, you can't remember a single thing before he or she fired at you. And he's just like, no, like, I don't. And I love that this story does an excellent job of achieving a younger Batman with a young Robin, still trying to learn their ways and become that dynamic duo. And it really just feels like such a, like, it just feels so authentic, where, you know, Robin's going to make mistakes, and you do feel like, you know, he is young. You do feel like this one is going to make a lot of mistakes, as I've said. I love the inclusion of Alfred, where, you know, he does have this worry while Batman's just kicking Robin's butt, and, you know, they're using, it looks like a bow, and Robin's just taking it, right? Like, and, you know, he's standing on his own, but Alfred is just worried. He's like, you know, Master Dick, okay. And then at one point where Robin just gets knocked, and Batman's like, I made a mistake. You are no use to me, damaged. It has been 6 weeks. And then Alfred just kind of steps in as like that fatherly figure. Says, that's quite enough. Like, listen, Bruce, you've kicked the crap out of him enough. Like, just stop. But the response that got me, and I was just like, oh, Jeph Loeb, this is why you are in legendary status. Robin's like, so that's it? You're abandoning me? And then Bruce just goes, Robin, Dick, after you heal, then we can discuss. And then Robin just like takes off his cast, and he's like, discuss this. Newsflash, Bruce, I'm healed. And boom, just hits Batman across the face with a bow and just knocks him on his ass. And then this line here, I trained harder in the circus than anything you could have put me through. And, you know, Batman's just like, you know, and the internal dialogue says he's probably right. He needed to hear that for himself. And, you know, I'm not sure if any of you guys have felt like this, where you're like playing sports and you get like this little bit of criticism, or someone says something that you just like, boom, wakes you up, and you're like, okay, I'm going to show you. My dad was really good at that. Like, you know, he would give me a little bit of criticism, and for some reason that put a spark under my butt, especially when playing hockey. And so for those of you that are sports nuts, maybe you'll understand. Heck, even through education, where you're like, oh, this is it, this is the grade you got, aren't you embarrassed? And then you're like, whoa, okay, I'm going to show you attitude. And I feel like a lot of people have that kind of I show you attitude, and it kind of just motivates them. But yeah, so, you know, we got Batman and Robin just training, but you got Batman who's going to go out on his own. And he's like, listen, Robin, you got homework. And Robin's like, homework? What do I got to do? Batman just says, find this holiday. I want to know where Mario Falcone has been all this time. Okay, but how? Robin responds, be the detective. And then Robin's just like, what? Like, why does he hate me? And, you know, Robin is just receiving some tough love from Batman. But Alfred kind of steers him in a different direction, kind of showing a different perspective, just saying, like, he does not hate you at all. Quite the opposite. He fears that if something terrible were to ever happen to you, he could never forget himself. And then you got this, like, sweet smile of little Robin just being like, oh. And can we just say that the colors pop? Like, it gives me vibes of 1966 Robin, where you got that, like, prominent R, you got the yellow cape, got the green with the green gloves. It just, I don't know. I dig the look. And with the internal dialogue, you know, Batman's just thinking, like, I should check in on Jim Gordon. You know, it all started with, you know, his son being kidnapped. And Jim Gordon's just in his office, looking at the bulletin board, and he's got at the top of the list Mario Falcone, he's got Harvey Two-Face and Gilda Dent all at the top. Lopez walks in, and she's just like, "Can I just make a suggestion? Why don't we put Catwoman up there with our suspects?" And he's just like, "Huh, like, okay." But Jim's mind is kind of elsewhere. Even though he's looking at the bulletin board with all of the suspects, he's like, "Do you think it's inappropriate?" And he's asking Lopez this. She's like, "What, that like Catwoman and Batwoman have a thing?" He's like, "No, not that. But I used to always send Barbara flowers, and today with a card from our son. Do you think it was inappropriate that with them living in Chicago now, that he still did?" And Lopez is just like, "Hey, listen, I'm not the one to be giving advice. All my mother does is drive me crazy, but why the hell not?" "Oh, good, thanks." That's what Jim says. And what were you saying about Catwoman? And she just kind of reiterates what she says by saying, like, while I was off duty, I kept thinking about the shootings. Penguin, Riddler, Freeze, and they were all left at the scene except her. Do you think that she shot herself to throw us off? And she was the first quote-unquote victim. It's a smart play. And then Jim's just like, why the hell not? Now we get into Jeph Loeb being the miraculous Jeph Loeb. So we get back to the Batcave, and here's Robin doing all the detective work and going through all these types of plants because Ivy left a clue. And he's going through each plant. Alfred's just bored out of his mind. I love the sarcasm where he just goes, riveting. And then we have Batman, who has a red flower and a yellow flower. And I never thought this, but I'm going to fast forward right to the end. But he actually leaves, or sorry, not even to the end, right to the end of the page. And it's the bottom panel where Batman has a yellow flower and just leaves it at where the Dick Grayson's mom, Mary Grayson's tombstone is. And I'm like, nice touch. But we'll circle back at that because I never even thought about that. Anyway, you have Batman visiting Martha Wayne, and then he goes to Dick Grayson's mom's grave and dropping off flowers. And I just thought, beautiful. Batman, Robin thinks, why does he hate me? Meanwhile, it's quite the opposite. And Batman's just he had to obviously make a pit stop, and it seems like it's Mother's Day. Now, Robin in the Batcave, he's like, with all this stuff, the white trim, it's all pretty rare, but what dragged Mario Falcone away from that flower shop? And I got to thinking, wasn't that a coincidence that it all happened at that florist? And Robin doing the amazing detective work. He's like, I had the computer talk to that computer and learned who and where are the largest orders of, I can't even pronounce it, Ivy, that were sent in Gotham City. I need to tell Batman. And Alfred just responds, you do know what today is, right? And we get the internal dialogue of Batman saying, another holiday. Alfred just goes listen, there's a reason you don't visit. Is there a reason why you don't visit your parents? I'll gladly take you. And Robin just responds, you mean my parents' graves? They're not far from the Waynes, Alfred responds. And it's the writing here just has so much heart too. It's not just action. It's not just detective work. But there is a lot of heart, and you do feel for Robin. He did lose his parents. And Robin responds, he blames himself, doesn't he? And he's talking about Bruce. And Alfred responds, you would have to ask him. And Robin says, he was just a kid. How's he supposed to save them? So innocent. And Robin's referring to he feels he blames himself for the death of Bruce. Bruce Wayne blames himself for the death of his parents. And then we get a nice shot of the Batmobile. Again, love it. It kind of has a vibe of Batman the Animated Series with the front grille. And Batman gets a call from Robin, it seems like. He's like, I have a lead to where to find Mario Falcone. Then we get to where all of this wraps up. And you could tell, like, they have like a close-up of Catwoman's eyes. And she just asks, like, when will we have enough? When Ivy responds, when we have enough, there is a point to spending it. Did you hear that, Mario? Ivy says, Miss Kitty wants to spend some of the Falcone fortune that you've been sharing with us. And Catwoman responds, he's dying. Ivy says, then he dies. One less criminal clogging the routes of Gotham. You'll be the hero of the story. And Catwoman responds, that wasn't the plan. Now, she is obviously possessed. You can look into her eyes. And she kind of just eventually snaps out. But first, it's her and Batman just like tangoing by, fighting. She gets a good, I'd say scratch in, if you don't mind me saying. And it's right across the chest, and you see some blood spoiling. And he takes Catwoman out, and he's just like, that's enough. And she kind of comes to her senses as soon as Batman flips her over, and like there's like this ivy wrapped around her back, and he uses a batarang to just kind of cut it off because it's possessing her. Which, again, love it. And then all of a sudden, Catwoman comes to her senses, and she's just like, hey, hi, Batman. And then she asks, hey, where's that witch? And she's referring to Ivy. And Batman's like, how long have you had him? She's like, way too long. And Batman's like, he needs to be in a hospital. And then Catwoman just like, just make sure it's not in Arkham. So again, she doesn't want anybody that she cares about, at least like, in Arkham. But yet she went there willingly. It's kind of weird and kind of suspicious. But then things start to pick up as well. And Batman's just like, you came for Falcone. Take it as a win. That's what she says. And Falcone just needs water. And in the internal dialogue, just Batman's like, what's her role in all this? And like you can tell that there's just small little breadcrumbs that is being left. We get Ivy, who's escaped, and the .22 caliber shoots her down. She actually shoots her leg, and she falls on like a bag of garbages. And here's a guy wearing a hat with a gun, .22 caliber, and he drops, it looks like 2 roses right by her, and he drops the gun. But then there's another gun pointed to the original shooter, and it shoots off the hat. And so who's the original shooter? Well, none other than Julian Day, a.k.a. Calendar Man. So anyway, this other guy shoots Calendar Man's hat right off. Purposely, it seems like he purposely missed. And Calendar Man just turns around. He's like, oh, does this complicate things? And he's like, he obviously knows who the shooter is. And he's got his hands up, and the gun's pointed right at him. Then we get a scene with Jim Gordon, and Jim's just asking Batman, so the Robin found him? You must be very proud. Falcone knew something, Batman said. Mario, Catwoman, Holiday. And Gordon's like, Catwoman, you like her for this now? And Lopez just kind of comes in and is like, Commissioner Gordon, we found something. And so they look, and they just say, Lopez says we're going to need another ambulance. And there you have it. And it's Poison Ivy on the ground, knocked out. And Gordon's like, well, she fell. And Batman's like, well, she got shot, then she fell. You have to take her to Arkham. I want the doctor there, Thorne, to have a look at her. And Gordon's like, well, why Thorne? Batman's like, same leg, same wound as Catwoman on Halloween. So there's Batman doing the detective work, and I love it. Like it is really like a slow burn, but the story is progressing, and I can't wait for it to wrap up. But I feel like with each and every issue, it's slowly building it up, and I really do hope that there's a good ending to this, and it's worth the while, because not that it's dragging whatsoever. I'm actually really enjoying it. This is a great detective story. It's making me guess. And I'm like, man, what am I missing? I feel like it's staring me in the face. Anyway, Batman shows Gordon the two shell casings, one wound. And Gordon's like, the shooter missed once, fired twice. And Batman just like, no, not this shooter. And the internal dialogue hits. 2. Harvey then asked if we knew that there was 2 holiday killers. I dismissed it as part of his obsession with the number 2. Where are Two-Face and Gilda Dent? And suspiciously, we haven't seen them. Then there's Catwoman, looking at it looks like a Venta boat with a nice, beautiful Italian flag. Shout out to Peter Vera, my paisan from down south. And Catwoman's she obviously approaches the boat. She jumps on. And here we have someone dressed up as a nun saying, I was expecting to meet my son, not you, Selina. And Catwoman responds, life is filled with disappointments, Miss Falcone. Per favore. I haven't been called that in quite some time. I prefer Sister Louisa. And Catwoman just says, per favore. I don't believe that you're a nun any more than you are blind. And they have like a beautiful tie-in for this When in Rome, when it was like the Catwoman When in Rome. Anyway, Louisa responds with, when we met in Rome, I had my reasons to be as I appeared. Now, back in Gotham City, there's no need for charades. You have something I want. And Catwoman responds, and you have something that I want. And, just to slowly wrap up this issue, it kind of leaves you on like a little bit of a cliffhanger right there. But then we kind of ended off with a nice little note with Robin visiting his mom on Mother's Day. I just got chills just saying that. But to end it off, Robin just says, nice touch, Bruce. Yellow, like my cape. I couldn't come, and then I think it looks like he's talking to his mom. He's like, I couldn't come see you until I was sure I have a new life. It's hard, but if anyone taught me to believe in myself, it's you. I am Robin now, Batman's partner, and he's pointing to Mary Grayson, which was just beautiful. But I'll always be your son. And there it is with the yellow flower. Just chef's kiss. I really do like how they wrapped that ending up. It's keeping me guessing who could be behind all these killings. My guess was going to be Julian Day. But now that they've introduced Louisa, I'm like, why is she here? And that's a coincidence. Like, what role does she have here? And what role does she have with Mario Falcone? We have no idea, really. So obviously she's a suspect, and we got issue 8, 9, and 10. We got 3 issues left, and really curious as to the direction they go. I think let's talk ratings, and then I want to get into what I loved in my favorite panel. Overall, I thought that the rating, I'd give this about a 7.8 out of 10. Nah. You know what? No, I'm going to give this an 8. I did like the detective noir aspect. I like the heart that Jeph Loeb gave this story. And even the art was not distracting whatsoever. Was it my favorite? No, but I thought it was good. I actually really liked it. I don't know. I just, there's obviously other preferences. But that's no slight. I think that the beautiful touch that they had with Batman and the 2 roses and just leaving one for obviously Bruce's parents, Martha Wayne, and then the other for Mary Grayson. Beautiful. And speaking of that, I would say that that's my favorite panels, where Batman is holding 2 roses, one red, one yellow, and he's just at the graveyard. And I thought that was just a nice little touch. And yeah, I thought that this is a beautiful, beautiful issue. I do expect them to be picking up now and seeing. It looks like the next issue is going to be surrounded by Solomon Grundy, as they have him featured as the cover. And Becky Cloonan is going to be the artist for the next issue. That's kind of exciting. But yeah, no, this looks pretty good and curious. Like, there's a couple of things that we have unanswered. What's going to happen with Louisa? What's going to happen with Calendar Man? Right? Did he die? Like, he got a gun pointed right at him, and he just says this does complicate things. But he did recognize whoever that was. Right? So it's like, who could it be that is involved? And is there multiple holiday killers? Like, we have a guy dressed in trench coat and a hat, shoots down Ivy, and was it this, which is Calendar Man, but was he also the one that shot down Catwoman? And why? Right? These are all unanswered questions. I hope that they're wrapped up in a nice tiny bow eventually. So really curious. I love everything that they've included. The nice touch with Poison Ivy. It was a fun book. It was a fun read. And I'm looking forward to the next issue. Curious what you guys think. So if you want to shoot me an email, tell me your thoughts, overall review. I know I've been reading some reviews, even on Hush 2, and they're just like, it sucks. And I'm like, what? Sucks? Like, I'm enjoying this. And is there something I'm missing? Right? Jim Lee's work is beautiful. It's a work of art. And then we have here where it's like Jeph Loeb writing The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween again. It's been well written. Still same tone. So curious what you guys think. Shoot me an email, beyondthebatsignal@gmail.com. And I have an X/Twitter account at beyondbatsignal, which you can find me at. And I'm also on YouTube. And please follow along, listen along, rate and review this show, as it really does help spread the word. Now, with that being said, my name is Dominic. This is Beyond the Bat Signal, and we are signing off.